Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Alster, racing broadcaster and journalist. And we're going to be taking a look ahead to this week's Aintree Grand National Festival. We'll be looking at the action on Thursday, Friday, and the big race itself on Saturday. Taking a little look ahead to the weather, they've actually had to do a little bit of watering at Aintree, Paul, because there hasn't been that much rain around in the forecast. They have got a little bit of rain around over the next few days. And I think there was a little bit of rain around potentially today. So it's looking good to soft. It will probably stay good to soft because there's no kind of big deluge forecast. So I think we're looking at good to soft ground for the national meeting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I think the most important thing as far as the national is concerned is to make sure the ground is safe on the Grand National course, because obviously the eyes of the world are going to be on the Grand National, and the last things they want is for the ground to get too fast and risk horses picking up injuries. So I think they'll be very, very keen to maintain good to soft ground. Even if it doesn't rain at all, they'll be putting some water down just to be sure they've got some give in the ground, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want it to be too firm. They
No.
usually have those massive like water spreaders that go the whole way across the track and they just trundle it round with tractors. So they'll be doing that over and over again to make sure that ground is safe. That'll be an absolute priority. Thank goodness we're not on a hose ban in the UK. Otherwise we would be a bit stuck. But we're going to kick things off on Thursday with the Aintree Bowl. To start us off, we've got last time out Gold Cup favourite Django Bay at the head of the market. We've then got Impere Pass, who was pulled up at the Cheltenham Festival. The last time we saw Spillane's Tower was actually at the Cheltenham Trials Day. He didn't go to the festival in the end after being withdrawn from the Ryanair, I think it was, wasn't it? So he takes his place here. You've got 11-year-old Protectorat in the field, and you've got Pic Dorhe as well, who obviously the last time we saw him, he was having that almighty battle with John Bon at Ascot. So who do you like here, Paul?
Well, it's a tough race, actually, I think, to start off with, because a lot really is it depends on how well these horses have come out of Cheltenham. I think Django Bay is the safest bet here, even though there's been a little unease in the market. They're trying to put him in at even money early doors. He's now out to 11 to 8 in places. That run behind Gaelic Warrior in the Cheltenham Gold Cup was an excellent effort. And we know he runs well at Aintree. He ran perfectly well last year when he was only beaten a length or so by Impera Pass, who is going to take him on again. And over this trip, I think he'll be the stronger. Spillane's Tower, well, he's a horse that I really fancy for the Gold Cup itself. I'm just a little bit worried about the ground for him, whether it might be just a little bit too quick for him. Now, of course, he's still engaged, is he, in the Grand National itself on Saturday. So if he runs here as expected on Thursday, then he will come out of the National, which will allow Pied Piper, the first reserve, to get in. I'll come on to talk about that in due course, but I'm very interested in the horse that's the second reserve, Imperial Saint. So Spillane's Tower has his part to play not only on Thursday, but he'll have some impact on what's going to run on Saturday as well. I'd love to see Protectorat run well, and I think he probably will. I think he's going to run a big race, and he might turn out to be the biggest danger to Django by Pic Dorhe. I don't think this is his trip. I think it's a bit too far for him.
Yeah, he didn't really seem to love 3 miles, did he, Pic Dorhe, when he last went up against Jello? And I think he's much better around 2 mile 5, 2 mile 4, which kind of puts me off him slightly. I also think he has, over the years, become somewhat of an Ascot specialist. He does appear to like it there the most. I'm exactly the same as you with my thoughts on Spillane's Tower. I actually think he's definitely going to be coming into the race, probably the freshest, but obviously the fact that he was an on runner because of the ground at Cheltenham, and the fact that that ground is kind of firming rather than softening at Aintree makes me think again he could be a potential late non-runner once they've walked the course after the first couple of races, that's for sure. Um, which makes it odd, really, I guess, that Django Bay is in some ways drifting, because actually you can kind of make arguments against a lot of the other horses in the field. I guess the argument against Django Bay is how hard of a race did he have in the Gold Cup, and will he be as fresh this time out? And I think personally he's probably too short a price for me based on that. And I'd probably be looking to get him beat. I think Spillane's Tower can beat him if he does stay in the race, and we do get a little bit of drizzle that maybe just brings that up on the softer side of good to soft, maybe that kind of yielding that we might see him run. But that's how I saw that one. So perhaps we're seeing it a little bit, perhaps similarly.
I think so.
That's for sure. But there's really, really good racing on Thursday. The next race we're going to have a look at is that Aintree Hurdle. Another JP McManus runner in here with the new lion for the Skeltons. Now, obviously, it didn't come off for him in the champion hurdle. I don't particularly think either of us thought it would when we previewed the champion hurdle at the time, because as we mentioned on trials day, he basically only just beat Brentford Hope, who's rated much lower. So he is favourite again this time, but this is over 2 mile 4, whereas obviously that champion hurdle is a little shorter. I do think that this is probably a better distance for him, which maybe is why he justifies that favouritism. But I don't think Brighter Days Ahead is done yet, and I think she could have a real say here. She's quite a nice price at 2 to 1. You've got El Fabiolo, obviously he's come back to hurdles in recent weeks. He won last time out, and he is around 5 to 1. A horse that ran incredibly well in the champion hurdle was Alexei. He's next in the market. And then you've got Potter's Charm as well in the market, and an entry also, as always, for Golden Ace. You've also got Lucky Place in here for the Henderson team as well. Who do you like here, Paul? Another really tricky race because they could all run their race.
Oh, I think this is a really good race. I think it's probably the best race on day one, in my view. And that clash between Brighter Days Ahead and the New Lion, there was only half a length between them in the champion hurdle. And you would probably suggest, I think, that the New Lion is going to be maybe the stronger at this distance. But I actually, having had a look at the likes of El Fabiolo, at Alexei, who I think has to prove he stays, I'm not sure he'll stay. I'd love to see Golden Ace run a big race, and I think she might. She has won at this distance in the past, and if she's able to switch on, I could see her running well. But I think the horse that may well be overlooked here is Potter's Charm. It's the Twiston Davis horse, who made a fairly low-key start to this season when beaten by, it fell at Wetherby in the race won by a strong leader. Then it was third to Woodhoo at Ascot. Then it tried 3 miles behind Imposed Trois in that big Grade 1 just before Christmas, the long walk hurdle. But since then, at around the 2.5 mile mark, a really nice win at Windsor, which was, I think, a big step back in the right direction. And then last time out, even though the ground was much more testing than would be ideal, saw off brewing up a storm, who, although he's an old horse, he's still running very well and was a terrific fourth at Fairy House just the other day. I think that because he has had about 7 weeks off since he ran at Fontwell, he'll be fresher than most of the other horses. This is his ideal trip, and I'd say that good to soft ground is probably going to be just about perfect for him. And I would be very interested in seeing a big run from Potter's Charm, and with 1 or 2 firms, the likes of Paddy Power and Bet365, Sky Bet, BetMGM, Virgin Bet, they're offering 3 places on this race, Izzy. So they're giving us a bit of a sporting chance. So any 14 to 1 or thereabouts, I'd be very interested in Potter's Charm for the 3 places if we can get it.
I couldn't agree more. I
Yeah,
absolutely love Potter's Charm. I feel the same as you actually. If there's a horse that's suited to this distance, I think it's definitely him. The only thing is, they has obviously, like you said, his last couple of wins have actually come in slightly softer conditions. So you start to wonder whether that has become a little bit of a preference for him, or whether his last runs that were over sort of slightly better ground, maybe they were put off more because they weren't quite the right distance for him
yeah.
rather than the ground. But he is my selection too. The Twist and Davis yard are in reasonable form, and like you say, you can make a case against a lot of the others. The one I think could also run well at a reasonable price if he does step up in trip. We kind of don't know if he will. Is Alexei. He went out at quite a clip though, didn't he, in that champion hurdle? So he has got to rein it back in if he's going to make it over 2 mile 4. So but I'm with you. Oh my gosh, we're kind of
Well,
lining up a little bit
it,
here on the Thursday of the Aintree Festival.
it's frightening. It's a very rare occurrence, this, so we might as well make the most of it. Let's hope they both do the business, these two, on the Thursday.
And have you got any fancies anywhere else on Thursday? I know that there is, what is there, the Fox Hunters? Any big
Mm.
fancies for the Fox Hunters? They've got
No,
Barton Snow running again, who
no.
absolutely destroyed my dreams against Billaway.
Yeah, no, I haven't really got anything in the Foxes. There is one horse that I think is quite interesting, actually, in the concluding race. It's the Mare's Bumper, and Alan King has got a couple of runners in the race, and there's one there that's only had the one run, and it won it at Ascot, Martini Majesty, and I just like the way it went about its business and won the race there. And as a 4-year-old, it gets a bit of weight as well. And Alan King has won the race before. He's got Tom Bellamy on, who's in cracking form and has got a wonderful ride in the Grand National on Nick Rocket. I mean, that's probably beyond his wildest dreams. I do think that there's a reasonable chance for 4 places each way of the Martini Majesty in the closing event on Thursday.
Okay.
Hmm.
So we then move on to Friday. We've got 3 really good races that we're going to take a look at here, and we're going to start things off at 3:30 with the Melling Chase. Top of the market here is Henry de Bromhead's Heartwood. We've then got the beautiful grey Dawning in the race. Gidley Park, he's making a return. Load of Sod for the Skeltons. You've got Solness in here as well. JPR1, Saint Segal brings up the market. So who do you like here, Paul?
Well, I've got a feeling, Izzy, that we're not going to agree this time. We'll see. But I do think that although most people that follow us regularly will be aware, I'm not really one to follow the favourites. I was just blown away by the way that Hartwood um, won at Cheltenham in the Ryanair. He was just so impressive, and I'll be very surprised if he doesn't go and follow that up here. Grey Dawning, I think at this trip he may well be vulnerable. I could see Gidley Park going well. I don't think the race really at Ascot, it just wasn't, run to suit him, and wouldn't have won it anyway. Um, Solness is a horse I've always loved, but I don't think this is his kind of a track. So really, I'm not looking much further than Heartwood, which is a bit boring. But if he does the business, it's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Hartwood probably has got a favourites chance here. I don't actually have a particularly strong fancy in the race. I mean, obviously Hartwood did run well, and obviously even John Bon couldn't get to him. So to me, that is a good bit of form because we know that John Bon always runs his race. I do think Gidley Park could have a say. Like you say, if you could put a line through that run at Ascot last time, actually seems to run reasonably well at Aintree. As we mentioned earlier, he was second here last year to Imperi Pass. So I think that he could potentially run well. The key, I think, to Gidley Park is actually that the going could really suit him if it is on that slightly firmer side, because he does seem to enjoy that. And I think he could maybe take advantage. I mean, so will Hartwood, because that ground was good at
Yeah,
Cheltenham that day. But yeah, the market's probably got it about right. I've never been a backer of Hartwood, so I would say at a short price, it might be a bit skinny for me to go piling in, but I might then instead go for Gidley Park and just see if I can get him beat. But I couldn't put anyone off of Hartwood, that's for sure, because he was impressive. Um, and that leads us on then to 405, and it is the Topham. Again, this is another one where we get those Grand National fences, and everyone will be getting their eye in for the big one on Saturday. And at the top of the market, we have last time out Cheltenham Festival winner in Madara. We've got Gentleman de Me, Will the Wise, Il Atlantique for Mullins, Boom Born for the Skeltons, coming up easy. Il est Francais with an entry here, a little bit unusual. You've got Prairie Wolf, Booster Bob, Lisnamold Lad, Croke Park, and I'll say Mahon's Glory and Bigger the Rest, because there's obviously quite a big field in here for the Topham. Who do you like here, Paul? Anyone at a big price? Because I feel like this is where you come alive.
Well, yeah, I think there's plenty of value out there, and you know, especially with the fences not as big as they used to be, it takes a little bit of the lottery element, I think, out of races over the on the national course. But you kind of latched onto it. That one of the probably the most interesting runner in the race is the French runner, Il est Francais, or ex-French. He's now with Tom George, and this horse, of course, was absolutely scintillating when it won at Kempton a couple of seasons ago, and then it was second, of course, in a King George to Banbridge, and it's obviously had problems. It's moved from um, Noel George and Amanda Zetterholm to Tom George, and it's had a breathing operation. This one, is it? And although it's got 12 stone and top weight on this kind of ground, which suits the horse, it's one of the few sort of ex-French horses that really does like decent ground. If this horse has got its breathing back, having pulled up last time out in the King George behind the jukebox man, 12 stone wouldn't stop it going very, very well indeed. And I could see Il est Francais going really well. But I think this race over the years has seen horses run well in it time and time again. And 12 months ago, it was Gentleman de May that came through and won this for Willie Mullins and Mark Walsh. He's about a 10-to-1 shot this year. But the horse that he beat there, I thought was really unlucky that day, Lisnamold Lad, because he was out in front and he was still going along powerfully when he was hampered by a loose horse just before the elbow on the run-in. And in the end, he was softened up, and Gentleman de May came and got him by 3/4 of a length. So I think Lisnamold Lad has a really good chance with a lovely racing weight at 10 stone 6. He's been there, run really well before. I don't think there's a lot between last year's first and second, but at 16-to-1 for 6 places, Lisnamold Lad, I think, has got as good a chance as any, and definitely Il est Francais worth a second glance.
Yeah, I do really like the look of Il est Francais. I think he could certainly have something to say here. Really exciting to see him back. I think we all go back to that kind of Kempton race and think that there's something in this horse that could be really, really special. So be interesting to see how he handles the Grand National fences. As you say, they're not quite the test that they were, but you do still need to be able to jump well, because they're by no means easy. And that's why I quite like the look of Viroflay for Olive Nichols, riding for her dad, Paul. She she always rides Viroflay, and she always gets an absolutely beautiful tune. And she jumps really, really well. So that's what makes me think perhaps Viroflay can just pop around, jumping nicely, and actually be there at the finish. A really, really nice each way price of 28-to-1 currently. So Viroflay for me is an each way chance in this one, just because he's such a lovely little jumper. So that's me. I've been cheering on Olive, as I'm sure Paul will as well, with every bit of his being. So that then leaves us on Friday with the Grand Sefton to take a look at. We've got Johnny's Jury at the top of the mark. We've then got no drama this end, and a little bit of drama, I guess, in kind of jockey hot seats, because this time it will be ridden by Sam Twiston Davis. We've got Manduli Boy, Talk to the Man, Zeus Power, Dalston Lad, Cryptic Jim, Harbour Island, and I'll say Bigger the Rest, because there's still a few more in there at much bigger prices, right up to about sort of 40-to-1. I really like no drama this end, Paul. I think we were burned with what can I say, a less than ideal ride. I don't place blame on Harry Cobden. I see it very similarly to how Ruby Walsh did on the day. He said you could have gone for a winning ride and tried to get up the rail, or you could have gone wide and finished fourth or fifth, but you still wouldn't have won if you'd have gone wide. So um, he just didn't pan out for him. But I don't think he's been taken off because of anything untoward linked to that ride. I think it's just a sign of the changing of the guard, because as we know, he's going to go off to ride for JP McManus, and Sam is going to take the hot seat at Nichols. So what's a better time than now for him to start to get acquainted with probably what is the stable's biggest star?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've summed it up pretty well there, to be honest. I got my fingers burnt, certainly with no drama this end. I thought he'd take a lot of beating at Cheltenham, but I don't blame Harry Cobden at all. It was just one of those races where every time he tried to make a move, there was always something blocking him. And of course, the start didn't help as well. One of those ridiculous starts that they had at Cheltenham that so many horses were inconvenienced by. I would see him running very well, although I've got to say, I think Johnny's Jury was really impressive the way he came home. The question for me is whether he'll be quite as impressive on this quicker ground and on a sharper track. He's a lovely horse. Can't wait to see him go chasing Johnny's Jury. And there's so many in this race that have the potential to, really transition well next season to fences. Zeus Power is another one for Joseph O'Brien. There was Frankie John, a horse of Dennis Hogan's in Ireland. He's a lovely big strapping horse. I could see him doing well next season. But I'm really interested in the other Nichols runner, actually, with Harry Cobden on. And that is Talk to the Man. Because here's a horse that until February, which is February the 3rd, which is only, 9 weeks ago, he'd only ever run in bumpers. And here he is stepping up just 9 weeks into his hurdling career into a Grade 1. Now, that's a bit unusual, I think, for Paul Nicholls. This horse was sent to Taunton on his hurdling debut after 10, 11 months off, and he won really nicely in heavy ground. And then he went over the extended 2.5 at Newbury, and he beat a nice horse, an Irish horse called the Big Clubman, and he beat it well. And the word was out for the horse. He was sent off odds on. I think that Paul wouldn't be running this horse if he didn't think it's worth its place in the lineup. And unlike most of the others in this race, we just don't know what this horse is capable of. On the figures, he's got a lot to find, but I'm quite interested to see how he goes. So Talk to the Man would be my each way choice there in that Grade 1 at 4:40 Friday.
Do you have any other fancies anywhere else on the card on Friday at all, Paul? There's one that I'm looking forward to seeing, but very, very short.
Go on. Well, I don't have anything in particular because I haven't sat down and gone through the other races any great deal. I'll be doing that when I'm doing my client service over at Out in Front through Patreon. But no, I want to hear which one has caught your eye there as one to make the cover the expenses.
Well, I don't know if it will cover your expenses because he is an incredibly short price, and it's not hard to see why if we look at his run last time out in the Supreme at the Cheltenham Festival, and that's Sober Glory. He's actually running in one of the earlier races, 2:55. He's got Ben Jones on board again. I absolutely love the Brocade Racing colours and the team. Obviously, you throw it back to like Native River and all of those. And I'd always sort of followed Sober Glory, but I didn't realise that he had that sort of run in him that he did put in the Supreme. I mean, there was a bump on My Daddy Paddy that probably prevented him from winning the race. But the fact that Sober Glory never went away, even in the finish, he was still right there. I was just so impressed by that. So really looking forward to seeing him again. He's out at 2:55. But a short favourite, definitely short enough. But he should, I think, win that one, especially if he can put in that sort of performance again.
Yeah, he is short, but I think he will be hard to beat. But I'm not letting you go without telling us what's expected of Wendigo in the previous race, because you're involved with Wendigo, aren't you? So
I would really love to see Wendigo run well. I think personally, I would say my biggest hope is that he actually continues on next year. He shows to me he's a real stayer. It was a shame that he fell and sort of didn't finish the race off at Cheltenham, but he's none the worse for that. So I think he'll certainly give a really good showing. But I wouldn't be surprised if next year we see Wendigo going for the Grand National.
Yeah,
He does stay, he does jump. So I would say certainly that would be ideal. The only thing that's putting me off this time at Aintree, as it did a little bit at Cheltenham, the ground kind of changed. I would prefer him over a softer surface.
mm,
I think it's certainly what he seems to prefer. So we'll see how he gets on, but I think he might find it a little harder over a sort of firmer surface. He needs some
yeah,
rain.
yeah. Well, the best of luck with him anyway. This
Yeah,
is
we always
really
hope he
proud.
runs well, and he always runs his race.
He's a genuine
He's
horse,
always runs
lovely,
his race.
lovely, genuine horse. So yeah, let's hope for the best.
But you do need a real genuine horse if you're going to win the big one on Saturday. I think that's the main race we're going to look at, Paul, because it will dominate everybody's thoughts. I'm sure that all of our friends that sometimes follow horse racing will be texting us to find out what our fancies are for
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
So I'm not going to reel the whole market off because, as you know, there are a lot of runners in the Grand National. Instead, I'm going to come to you, Paul, and I'm going to ask you to give me either your first three or four home. They don't have to be in order. I mean, that would be some feat. But who's your Grand National team?
Well, I tell you, if I can come up with the first three home, I won't be on the broadcast next week. You won't see me for dust. I'll be gone. I'll be in Barbados or something. Well, it's going to be a great race. I think because we have decent ground, I think we're likely to see a lot of horses completing, which is always a good sign. I think we'll have a lot of horses probably in with a chance, as we have in the last few renewals, coming back across the Melling Road and down towards the second last. And of course, in many ways, Izzy, it's a bit of a rerun of last year, isn't it? Because we've
Mm,
got Nick Rocket, we've got Iron Maximus, Grange Clare West,
yeah.
Iroko, the first four home. I mean, there's probably not going to be a lot between those four again. I've got to say, I think Iron Maximus, I know he's favourite, 7-1 or thereabouts. I think he's going to run another terrific race. Whether he wins, I don't know, but I can see him being bang there, going to the last and probably keeping on and running. He's like your classic Aintree horse.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and again over the decades, horses that keep coming back and doing it. So I think for those that are looking for one at the top part of the market, he'd be one I'm very much expecting to run very well indeed. Now, we don't have the final decks in, and I alluded to it earlier, but if Spillan's Tower is taken out, then Pied Piper gets a run as the 35th horse. The 36th horse, the second reserve, is Imperial Saint, who I've written about on this site for a little while, and who I really am hoping manages to get a run, because I do think that everything is right for Imperial Saint. The ground is absolutely ideal. He has won 3 times at Aintree. He loves coming to Liverpool. He loves this flat track. Not so much, he hasn't been out on the national course. He loves the lie of the land really at Aintree. He's normally a very good jumper, and he was really unlucky at Cheltenham when he was all but brought down at a crucial stage of the race, brought to a halt. And then he got going and came through to finish 8th in the Ultima, which was a fantastic effort. I'm absolutely convinced that if he hadn't have been so badly hampered, he would have given Johnny Who and the others, plenty to think about. Now he's a 66 shot, maybe 100-1 in places. So I'm going to be, on tenterhooks, waiting to see if he manages to get a run, if one of the horses decide, has a runny nose or something happens. So we'll see. If he doesn't get in, then he's actually also entered on Saturday in the 2:30, the handicap chase over 3 miles 1 on the mile-made track. So he would definitely be, my bet there. But in the event that he doesn't make it into the race, which will be minor heartbreak for me, I have to say, the one that I think could go really well at a price is Jerry Colon. and I'm just checking that he's still in the race.
Still
He has
in.
disappeared. He is, yeah. Number 5, Jerry Colomb for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. Of course, Gordon Elliott um, has won the race 3 times, including twice with Tiger Roll. And I think he's got the right kind of horse in Jerry Colomb, because this is a horse with plenty of class, rated 166. He won last time out at Down Royal, a really good sighter for this. They chose not to go to Cheltenham to try and keep him relatively fresh. He's a Grade 1 winner in the past, including at Aintree. 2 years ago on this card at Aintree, Jerry Colomb beat a Hoy Senior in the Betfair Bowl, the Aintree Bowl. And he jumps well, he stays, class, top trainer, top jockey, 33 to 1 for at least 6 places. To me, that seems to be good value. So I think my 3 would be, as previously mentioned, I Am Maximus, Jerry Colomb, and I really hope that Imperial Saint gets a run, but if not, probably having a close look at him in the 2:30 earlier on the card.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we have got Jack's 3 as well. He's gone for all the names. He hasn't given us a massive write up, but he seems to think that the Irish might win it. But he's got Oscar's brother, Monty Starr, and who was his other one?
Gorgeous
Gorgeous
Tom.
Tom.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Team Jack gets on, and we've also got Team Paul. Team Izzy, I've actually got 4, so I'm going to give them, because I'm attempting to predict the first 4 home. And if I give them, I'm going to give them in the order I think they will be in, and we'll see how close I actually get.
Okay.
I think first over the line will be Haiti Kalur. I think that he's always been a Grand National horse. It didn't go to plan in the Gold Cup. And even though he was entered in the Gold Cup, people kept saying the same thing, which is that he's a national horse. So let's see him go and do it. I think, he's obviously got a couple of nationals already under his belt. There's no better jockey than Sean Bowen. He rode flat in the Gold Cup. That's what Sean reported when he got off. So let's hope for a better run this time. In second, purely for the fact that Haiti Kalor does just stay and stay and stay, is Mr. Van Gogh. He's an absolutely massive price. There was a rumour or a word around the Grand National Weights lunch that Mr. Van Gogh had some sort of, not injury, but a bit of a setback, which could maybe account for his poor last couple of runs. So I'm willing to forgive him those, because he stays. He's run over these fences before and he absolutely loved it. Only just beaten by Twig. So I think that he'll really, really enjoy it on Grand National Day, and got a nice weight on his back as well, because he's usually been running absolutely lumped with top weight. So Mr. Van Gogh for me. Third place, I'm going to go with Jaguar. I think he can run really, really well. The reason he's third for me and not first or second is because his jumping was a bit crazy last time out at the Cheltenham Festival, and probably what lost him the race against Johnny Who, really. But like you said, these fences are a little bit easier than they were before, so he could probably get round, and he certainly stays. So I'm quite excited by the prospects of Jaguar. And fourth, I think that Nick Rocket could obviously run a really good race. Obviously, if he was to win it, he'd be winning back-to-back nationals and emulating only 4 horses that have ever done it, including, the likes of Red Rum and Tiger Roll in there. So I think that Nick Rocket could run really well. He's had a run already this season and showed that he retains all of that staying power. So I've just gone for some real stayers is what I'm looking at. And I'm thinking that with the kind of slightly better conditions, that they'll get round and stay home. I think there'll be quite a few horses like we saw last year, similar, sort of all coming home.
Yeah.
And it'll basically be who just stays the best in the end.
I think they're interesting choices, and as you pointed out quite clearly, you've gone for horses that have plenty of stamina. I do think Haiti Kalur has got a proper chance. I really do. Like you say, he's a national, he's a high class handicapper, I think, rather than a Grade 1 horse, and we know he stayed. Mr. Van Gogh is a horse I love as well, but I just feel the ground might be a bit fast for him. That would be the thing.
He did go on some pretty good ground before, and he didn't mind it.
No, that's true. He won the Midlands National on good to soft. I just think that he might get caught out. But I'd love to see Sarah Bradstock, win the national. I mean, that would be the best post-race interview because
Yeah.
she always comes up with a great interview, Sarah Bradstock, and she's absolutely terrific. So yeah, I mean, between the three of us, Jack's on holiday this week. My three, his three, your four. We've come up with 10 different horses that were between us. We expect to run well, and I just hope it's a great race. I hope they all come back safely,
Yeah.
horses and jockeys. And let's hope it's just a lovely day at Aintree with a big crowd and a proper spectacle. And it'd be great to have another good finish. I must say, much as I mentioned, I am Maximus. I think it'd be nice if the horses that I selected weren't to win. I'd like to see one of the smaller or the
Mm.
not one of the great powerhouse stables winning, some a bit more of a story because much as we admire Gordon Elliott and Willie Mullins and such, it'd be just great. I mean, Nicky Henderson, if he were to win it, I know he's only
Yeah.
got has he got Highland? I think that's
Yeah,
only
it's got
one.
Highland in
If
there.
Highland were to get a run, that would be one of the best stories. I know it's not a small stable, but of course he's never won in 45 years of trying. And I remember him, way, way back, going very close and having a couple like the Zarovich, I think, was second in the race, I think, or certainly close. So there's all sorts of stories. Um, but I think a great race is in prospect. And I'm sure everybody that bets once or twice a year, they'll have a pound each way or whatever and have a bit of a shout at the telly and enjoy themselves. It's a great spectacle. Makes you proud of your
I I think there could be potentially a story in your Imperial Saint if he gets in. Did
business.
Richard Johnson ever win the Grand National as a jockey?
Oh, there's a question. I'm not sure if he did or not.
To
I
pop on
remember,
Google and
I
have
think
a
he
look, I
finished
think,
second.
because
Did
to
he
go
finish
and win
second?
it as an owner.
Did he ride What's Up Boys when that was just beaten? Because that was a Philip Hobbs horse, wasn't it? I mean, I'd love to see
Yeah.
Philip Hobbs win the race. Yeah, it'd be fantastic with Johnson White. So if he were to get in, but also the Oscar's brother, one of the horses that Jack has mentioned. Here's a really interesting horse because he's a novice. You don't often get novices running in the race. And of course, he's trained by Connor King and ridden by his brother Daniel King. And I think they only have 2 or 3 horses. And this horse has done absolute wonders for them. And of course, was bought by JP McManus. So if you have a stable with just 2 or 3 horses, if it were to win the national, I mean, this would be like real national velvet stuff, wouldn't it? A
I
real
just had a little look,
powerhouse.
by the way. Richard Johnson holds the record for the most rides in the Grand National, 21,
Yeah,
without ever having won.
yeah. Well, it's about time because, of course, he's behind the syndicate, isn't he? That own Imperial Saints, and of course,
Yeah,
he's very closely associated for so many years with Philip Hobbs. Had that wonderful time together. So yeah, I just hope Imperial Saint gets in.
fingers
If he,
crossed.
oh yes, yeah, all crossed.
That
I mean, not.
could be the biggest story of them all. And all
Mm,
we need is one more out after Spillane's Tower has taken his place earlier in the week. So let's see if we can get that one over the line. But hopefully, we found you a winner or two across the Aintree card. Whether or not we have in the national remains to be seen, with just the 10 runners selected. But it's a great race. Obviously, everyone always has their fancies, and we hope you have a winner and best of luck. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.